Most people will never escape the paycheck to paycheck trap, and here's why. When I was younger, I thought that the only way to be successful was to work hard, but I quickly realized that I was running on a treadmill financially and wasn't getting anywhere. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down how you can avoid the same traps that I went through. The first way to get out of the trap is to realize that you're in the trap. And so you want to change your mindset. So the first thing that I would do is read as many books as I can about rich people's mindsets, read biographies. What are they doing? What makes them think differently about certain situations? Because once you change your mindset, the world opens up to you because you open up your reticular activating system, and it allows you to, it's like when you buy a car and then you think nobody owns the car at first, and then when you buy it, you see them everywhere. I know when I bought this truck, I started to see them everywhere, but it's because your reticular activating system focuses on certain things. So it focuses on the fact that I own this car, so I see them everywhere. But if I was driving a different car, my reticular activating system would focus on those other cars, because our brains can only process so many things in the day, so it kind of goes on autopilot for a lot of things. And so the first step to escaping the trap is to activate your reticular activating system by listening to other people that are successful and developing a mindset that they have and how they think about the money, economy, the world, etc. So the key difference between a rich mindset and a poor mindset is what they focus on. So rich are focusing on how can they make more money with the money that they already have. And then the poor are thinking about how can I make more money so that I can spend it. So rich are spending money on assets, and then poor are spending money on liabilities like a car or a clothes, vacation, stuff like that. The rich are focusing on, okay, how can I buy more real estate? How can I buy a business? How can I invest my money in stocks to make more money? So there's just a key difference there. All right, so like I said, the rich are buying assets, the poor are probably buying liabilities. And the main reason for that is they don't have an asset acquisition strategy. So poor people just don't understand how to buy assets. And I didn't either, I had to learn it the hard way, but we all start somewhere. So the first thing is education. You want to learn as much as you can about the space, like what does an acquisition even entail? When it comes to businesses specifically, you want to study the industry that they're in and understand how the market is in general, because you're capped by what the market does. So for instance, I'm in vending machines. The market is around 45 billion. Don't quote me on that, but let's say it's 45 billion. The most, that's basically the height of the market. You want to make sure that there's enough opportunity for you to actually make a good living. Clearly that is a good enough living. If I build a $1 billion vending empire, that's insane. And it is possible. There's companies that do it all the time where they own a lot of the market share. And so you want to understand the industry. Next, you want to understand, different facets within the business. So there's a couple different roles. There's sales and marketing, there's operations, systems are the same thing, cash flow, legal, make sure that you understand the law and the permits that you need. And then accounting, just understanding the cash flow, how to make more money, how to budget, and run an analysis on an investment, make sure it's actually going to bring back money, see what the returns it's going to bring back. And then the sales piece is just, basically getting people to buy your product, because if you don't have any cash coming in, then there's no need for the rest of the parts of a business. And you want to learn those skills as much as you can. So I went into sales to learn the sales skill and the marketing skills. And then now I'm transitioning into an operations role so that I can learn the back end of investments within real estate specifically. But it's applicable to everything. And then, investing in some accounting courses and just other things to kind of improve my skills. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to make money until you improve your skills. And so investing now when you're young, in your 20s or 30s or 40s, is going to pay off dividends when you're older, because your skill set goes with you no matter what. What you make in income today doesn't matter if you get laid off tomorrow, right? So I try to tell myself that, because my identity has been attached to being a high income earner in sales, but now I'm making a transition into a lower paying job just so that I can learn these skills. And it's hard because I had this identity as a 6-figure earner, and now I'm going back into being, an entry-level earner. So it's one of those things. You just got to understand that the rich are investing in their skill set, and the poor are probably focusing on their salary and what they can earn in the short term. So rich are thinking long term, poor are thinking short term. And please don't take offense if I'm saying poor and rich. I'm literally poor, so it's not a dig at anybody. It's just the mindset. It's all about the mindset, rich versus poor. So develop your mindset, then invest in your skill stack. And number 3, I'll talk about in a second. All right, so 3 is to find something that you enjoy, something that has always kind of interested you. So for me, it was vending machines. Those kind of interested me. And so I read a book on it, learned, and then I invested by putting my money on the line, because that's really where you learn and see what you're good at and what you're bad at, and can, you know, kind of scale up from there. So I went into vending, made about $500 a month through that. My first route, learned a ton of things, was lucky to make enough profit to get out of it, and, you know, paid off some things with it. Now I'm getting back into it, and I have learned so much more that this time around, my foundation is way better, and I'm actually gonna have somebody else run the route for me, whereas I was running it all myself. So that's an important thing to learn, is how to make systems and then delegate it. That's what turns it into a business rather than a side hustle. Once you find something that you're interested in, you know, getting really, really good at it, getting to be world-class at it, and just focusing on your skill stack within that industry. Because, you know, what the rich people do is they do something boring for a very long time. How you do anything is how you do everything. So, you know, just make sure you're really good at whatever business you do, and then scale it up, you know, get even bigger, hire employees, you know, kind of take yourself outside the business. Now you have a cash flowing income stream that you don't even have to trade your time for money anymore. You have an asset that just makes you money when you sleep. It's a whole lot of hard work, a lot of upfront work that you're not necessarily getting paid a ton to do, but that allows you to free up your time to invest in other areas as well. So then you can start acquiring more assets, learning about other industries, and just expanding your empire, or, you know, expanding your reach. So I start with vending machines, systemize it, and then I get somebody in place to run it for me, step out. Now I invest in other areas like a laundromat, blah, 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 and on and on. So that's what the rich are doing. They're not really involved day to day in a lot of their businesses. In fact, I don't think they're rich if they are. If they're spending all their time for a business, that's not rich to me. That's somebody that is self-employed. They basically bought themselves a job because they work 9 to 5 still, just within their own business. You want to take yourself out of the business, stop trading your time for money, have money making money for you while you sleep. That is the business person and the investor's side of the cash flow quadrant, if y'all have ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, his books. But all right, the tough truth with all of that is that if you're trading your time for money, you are going to work until the day you die. You know, we talk about retirement and people having enough in their 401k so that they can retire. But the thing is, they have a giant stockpile that they're just hoping lasts them until they pass away. And that's a bad way to think about it, because money is getting devalued every single year. And so what people have in a money pot today is going to be way different than what they need in 40 years to live comfortably. But if you have cash flow coming in, you're able to cover your basic expenses with that cash flow, you don't even have to worry about it, because you could take yourself out of the job, not trade your time for money, and the money just show up in your bank account every single month. It takes a lot of time to get there. It takes a lot of effort, but if you're listening to this channel, you're not somebody that lacks work ethic. You're clearly somebody that does. So you just want to be investing in the right areas, because the ladder on the wrong wall is not going to get you to where you want to go. Stop focusing only on your paycheck. Start building out income streams that bring you money while you sleep. Continue to invest in your skill stack, and you're going to be just fine. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.